take it away.
Alrighty, welcome back to Same Old Stripes. We are joined by Chad Forbes today. We kind of promised you guys that we would recap with Chad after the draft. We had Chad on our show about 2 months ago.
Sounds about right, before free agency or so.
Yeah, and Chad gave us some pretty good insights on maybe the direction the Bengals were going to go, and now we're going to kind of here to just recap that. So I guess we're going to get started right away. Chad, if that's okay with you.
That sounds fantastic.
Alrighty, perfect. Well, let's lead you off with softball here. What was your favorite pick by the Bengals?
DJ Turner at the end of round 2 is great value. Fits exactly what they want in that secondary. Gets them a replacement for Awuzie if he walks in a year. I like Myles Murphy. I didn't love the player, but we talked about this before the draft. I really think they need to bolster the pass rush, and now they leave the draft having filled all their major needs. They got depth on the offensive line, pass rush, defensive tackle, corner. The only questions left really are kind of what they're going to do at tight end and running back. And those happen to be probably two of the easier positions to fill in the league as cuts happen and teams start, paring down their rosters. So the roster's in a good spot right now, and it's an exciting year, probably a Super Bowl one.
Hey, we love to hear that. We love to hear that. Hopefully, man, we've been begging for one.
Knock off that pesky guy Mahomes, and then everything's going to be Gucci.
Yes. I think and I was telling Willie this a little bit before before we had you on, that it felt like the first 3 rounds were a beat Mahomes approach. Mike Hilton's kind of gotten exposed in coverage the last 3 or 4 times the Bengals have played the Chiefs, and
every time.
yeah, right. And even in the Super Bowl, the Rams attacked Mike Hilton. And so it kind of seems like DJ Turner kind of providing that inside-out versatility, Battle providing, versatility. It feels like, a good way to start the beat Mahomes train again. But going off that, man, what was your least favorite pick from the Bengals?
The punter.
Okay.
I don't like the punter there. In general, I just don't like punters, and I would probably double down on running back. I saw they signed a couple undrafted guys, but I don't have a lot of faith in Travion Williams or Chris Evans. I would have loved to double down on running back, because I think that's a real question mark. It'll be interesting to see if Joe Mixon's on the roster. And then, tight end, I guess they didn't grab one. The Saints were pretty pissed sitting at 29. They really thought the Bengals were going to take Michael Mayer and Myles Murphy would fall in their lap, but Bengals kept that pretty quiet. And my least favorite pick, I guess, would be the punter from Michigan.
That's a good thing, I think.
You dislike the punter the most. It's more of just like I dislike punters. So,
right.
I like all the picks. Jordan Battle is probably the most obvious Bengals pick. He's kind of like a young, faster Von Bell. Turner, you guys mentioned speed, inside out versatility. Myles Murphy, future proofs of the pass rush. So all good picks.
Okay, so going off the punter, I guess, you wanted to double up on running backs there. Who would have been a running back you would have maybe targeted at that spot?
I'd probably taken Keaton Mitchell from East Carolina, who went undrafted. I like him a lot, but I think they're going to focus more on guys that can pass protect. So I like Chase Brown. Running back's one of those positions that you can fill into August, and they keep telling agents around the league they're comfortable with the tight end room right now. But come July, August, if they're not happy with Irv Smith and Drew Sample, they can certainly add to that group. So I think the best part about their offseason has been just their patience. Right, they got the 2 comp picks for Von Bell and Hayden Hurst, and there's still some guys out there for agency, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a mix of trades.
Yeah, absolutely. We were pretty much on the Rashawn Johnson train. Obviously, he didn't fall all the way to our 4th round pick, but that kind of felt like a guy that could have been a 3-down back. But I'm going to pass you off to Willie here if Willie's got any questions for you.
Yeah, so I think that one area I'm really curious in your perspective on is the Bengals just flat out not going the tight end direction in this draft. And I mean, from a where these tight ends go perspective, I'm curious on what you think about. I think a lot of people think these tight ends might have been reached for. Is kind of what I'm getting at. What did you think about the Bengals kind of not being one of those teams that went for the reach? Obviously, Michael Mayer is a popular name.
One back, one tight end, 3 wide receivers, but it's really driven off the wide receivers more than the tight end. And I kind of call them more of like a soft edge team where the tight end is really a pass catcher, not looking to do, a lot of power run scheme and all of that. in terms to the boundary. So when I look at tight end, I say, okay, say we get into July or August, we want to go after a tight end, Tyler Higbee, right? Gerald Everett, Ross Dwelly. I mean, the tight ends around the league that have so much familiarity with the scheme that I'm not concerned about it today. But at the same time, I don't really think that Irv Smith Jr. is the answer. And really, the entire league thought they were going to take Michael Mayer at 28. But, if you can go out there and get for example, if they traded with the Rams and picked up the tight end there, maybe you're going to have a fourth-round pick, but you just got a pass rusher in the first round. It's a lot more valuable than kind of a complementary piece to your offense.
So on that same vein, I do kind of get the feeling, and I might be wrong on this, but obviously the Bills moved up for Dalton Kincaid. I get the sense the Bengals probably would have been in on Kincaid if he was there at 28. I don't know if he gets past the Cowboys by any stretch at 26. What was your thought on the Bills making that aggressive move? And was Dalton Kincaid kind of a surprise at that point in the draft to even still be on the board?
The Bills, to take the next step, definitely need another pass catcher. Gabriel Davis is not that guy. He'll be gone in a year. And once all the wide receivers went in that run from the Jigba through Jordan Addison, it was kind of like there weren't any wide receivers left, and Kincaid's basically just a big wide receiver, split out wide, add some versatility to your offense. And the Bills definitely went up thinking the Cowboys were going to take him at 26.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the Cowboys kind of putting out the they want Michael Mayer train kind of sold everyone that no, they want Kincaid. I want to transition a little bit. If you could redo anything on the Bengals, I guess, with the draft, if you could redo the entire draft, what would have you done differently?
Yeah, that's tough to say because you can't evaluate the players they got because we're all wrong half the time, right? So I
Right.
don't love Miles Murphy, but I like the idea of their process because in 2 years, Hendrickson will be gone, Asai will be hitting free agency, and all that'll be left is Sam Hubbard, and you definitely need pass rushers, and you don't get pass rushers in the third or fourth round. This isn't the days of finding like Carlos Dunlap or Daniel Hunter. The league's gotten much better at really scouting pass rushers. So I love Murphy, and I think he fits perfectly in the scheme, but I don't love the player.
Right.
So, maybe I would have taken B.J. Ojulari, but he doesn't fit the scheme as well as Miles Murphy. So I understand their direction with Murph. And then, I don't know, I don't really love the Princeton wide receiver. I think he's we've seen a lot of guys in the league that are just, really fast track guys, are physical. And they're kind of trying to see if perhaps they can hit like a home run and not have to pay Tee Higgins down the line. But I told you guys in the past, I'd pay Tee Higgins, I'd pay Burrow, and I'd pay Logan Wilson.
Okay. Yeah. We're with you. The Logan Wilson one maybe is up for debate for me, but I know a lot of Bengals fans.
If it's the right price, the linebacker market completely collapsed this offseason. So if it's around $9 to $10 million a year for 4 years, then I'm doing it. But if he's looking for Tremont Edmonds money, then okay, we'll go in a different direction.
So Tio, I do want to kind of jump back into free agency here because we haven't talked to Chad since then. I think that one really interesting thing that played out that I know Tio and I weren't really expecting. I can't remember I don't know if we even talked about Germaine Pratt on the podcast, but I thought Germaine Pratt staying with the Bengals, fascinating. Your thoughts on that move and, paying a linebacker, not conventional, but because the market did crash, do you think that sits a little bit better in the payroll going down the line?
They guaranteed him $7 million, so it's basically a 1 year, $7 million deal with 2 de facto team options for a 27-year-old player that fits perfectly in the scheme. And his behavior after the loss, going into the locker room, I think rubbed a lot of teams the wrong way because when you bring in a linebacker like the Giants brought in Okereke, and prior to that they were looking at Germaine Pratt, but you really want leadership out of that position. He's going to be like the dominant helmet calling the defense, spending a lot of time with the coordinator. I think he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way and cost himself some money.
Yeah, I remember you texted me about that. That cost him a few $1 million. So, I guess his loss started.
There's no reason that guys like the linebacker the Lions re-signed, name escapes me, the old Saints linebacker.
Anzalone.
Anzalone. Yeah. And Germaine Pratt's getting less than 7. They're not even comparable players.
How much did that Detroit guy get?
He got $6 million a year.
Oh, no way. Yeah, I don't know. I'm very ecstatic that we got him back. It wasn't something that we had on our cards. Yeah, but you kind of hitting on it's really a 1-year deal makes me wonder a little bit more about Logan. I know the Bengals love him, but yeah, I it's hard to pay 2 linebackers, don't you think?
Yeah, I think if the Bengals were talking about paying Logan Wilson 2 months ago, they were thinking it'd be like $12 million a year. Now they could probably do it for 10, and they probably thought Pratt was going to get 10. So
Right.
if you're committing, $16 million to the linebacker position, it's a lot, but you could figure out a way to make it work. And that's why I think throughout the rest of the offseason, they need to be pretty smart with how they manage the cap. And guys like La'el Collins, you can't pay them what they're due. And Joe Mixon, I just don't understand how he's still on the roster.
Yeah, that's a very hot topic this summer. But I guess one more question I really had for you is who do you think will have the biggest impact on the Bengals, whether it be via free agency or the draft? Obviously, Orlando Brown's probably going to have the biggest one, but outside of him, who do you think will have the biggest impact?
Cody Ford versus Volson is going to be a fascinating one to watch. I could see Cody Ford winning that job. This scheme is probably much better for him than the ones he's been in the past. He's next to his old Oklahoma teammate. He's still 26, which is young for an offensive lineman. I could see him having a huge impact. And the one that I kind of think is really interesting is Sidney Jones. He's got talent. He's played well in the past. He's still just 27.
Yeah.
I could see him competing for some sort of role. I don't know if it's a starting role, but I can see him having an impact in the secondary, especially if there's an injury. And then Nick Scott, he's a good player, smart, and they're basically replacing Von Bell for really a fraction of the price. So he'll have a big impact. And then the draft picks, the ones that can really, I guess, irritate Bengals fans, I don't see Miles Murphy having a huge impact year one, right? It's going to be a little bit of a developmental phase. And the guy that probably has the biggest impact out of the draft picks right away is DJ Turner.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that pick. And I think it's the beat Mahomes approach. Again, the inside-out versatility. But I guess, a question that I thought of when you were talking, battle versus Nick Scott. You think Nick Scott's going to end up being the starter then?
That's going to be a close one.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because Daxton Hill's versatility makes it like he could play those two safeties at the same time and have Daxton Hill kind of roaming around in certain schemes. So they could get on the field together. But, that's just a really smart move. You let Von Bell walk for like $7 million a year. You re-sign Pratt for the same price, right? And then you bring in Scott for basically $3 million a year. It's just like that's really smart management of your cap and your resources, especially because the guarantees on Scott, they run out after the first year.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's future building and keeping them competitive for the long run. Willie, if you got anything else you want to ask him.
Yeah, I just have one more question, and it's about the one big ticket thing we didn't really touch on. Just kind of, the Orlando Brown thing definitely took us by surprise, but do you have a sense on how much that kind of took the league by surprise? Did anyone really feel like the Bengals kind of rocked the boat with the Orlando Brown signing like we did in Cincinnati? Because here it really felt like that was a solidifying move for this team that I don't think even anyone in Cincinnati saw coming.
It's funny how the national media all had Orlando Brown as like a top 5 free agent.
Yeah.
He's entering his age 27 season, and the Bengals sign him, and it's like they're knocking it, being like, oh, he's not that good. Well, the Chiefs gave Jawan Taylor $20 million, and he's a right tackle, and he's going to have to play left tackle the first time in the league. So I thought the Orlando Brown pick signing was great. And the market came to them, and that's what this front office does now that I appreciate more than the past in free agents, is they get involved, and they say this is our price, and they wait to see if the market comes to them. And it did in Orlando Brown. And just to say it's going to be I really think the Bengals offseason only half complete, because next we're into extension season.
Yeah.
Figure out what we do at tight end and running back.
Yeah. Bouncing off that, is there any other moves that you would want the Bengals to make to get them over the edge that would, really give them the best chance at winning a Super Bowl?
Cut La'el Collins. Cut Joe Mixon.
Yes.
Back. Find a tight end on the cheap. I like Higbee for them, or Johnny Munt, or Gerald Everett from the Chargers.
Okay.
And the roster looks really good. It's hard to say what else you'd do, right? really pretty impressive what they've done in the last few years. And the next priorities have to be, extending Joe Burrow, and Tee Higgins would be my next, number 2 on that list. And then there's a lot of guys that need new money, whether it's DJ Reader or Chidobe.
Yeah.
It's going to be Logan Wilson. It's going to be tough to figure out how they spend the money, but when you've got Burrow, Chase, you've got the makings of foundational pieces. So these are the fun decisions to have to make.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Chad, do you have anything you want to plug? Your Twitter, anything like that?
No, just give me a follow, NFL Draft Bites on Twitter, and that's it. And I'm rooting for you guys to take the next step, because I know it's been a long time in Cincinnati, and it's fun to see a really well-operating organization for the first time in really many years.
Oh man, that's great to hear. We're rooting for us too.
National media will catch on to it sooner or later, but
right.
Bengals are under Duke Tobin, really know what they're doing.
Yeah, well, there you have, Bengals fans. If that doesn't excite you, I don't know what will. Chad,
right,
thanks
so
again.
Let's do it again.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chad. Have a good night.
Who day? No. Dude, that's fun. Yeah, no,